Yes, another Secretary of Defense is leaving under this current administration. We've had a lot of changes under this administration, but we want to talk about some of the facts and let you guys know what is happening with the new Secretary of Defense. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to NickyMGTV for another video. As always, you can hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below if you do have questions. Also, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, all of that good things in order to push this video and help make the channel grow, make the videos grow. So I appreciate you guys have been killing that. So yes, the new Secretary of Defense has already been announced, and the last one has already been fired. Mark Esper was the previous Secretary of Defense, which actually took over for James Mattis. If you guys don't remember, the Mad Dog Mattis, the one that was very known or well known by very many Marines and other service members for his loyalty to the service members. But let's talk about how it was announced that Mark Esper was fired. This was actually per President Trump's Twitter, which he tweeted the following. Chris will do a great job. Mark Esper has been terminated. I would like to thank him for his service. Now, that is nothing really in-depth that you're going to see from all of this, but that does leave a lot of people questioning and implying a lot of different things that are being noted from this change. Looking back at some of the history of the Secretary of Defense, you're going to see very well that there has been a lot of disagreements between this position specifically and the President of the United States, with the first one being James Mattis, Mad Dog Mattis, which he resigned shortly after only 1 year of being in office due to disagreements of how things would be handled. This included the Middle East and things like that, including pulling out troops, and that was even announced recently as well, saying that we were going to scale back even further, which those numbers have been true and published and known. And when I said that video, there were a lot of people that were like, we always say we're pulling out troops, but if you look at the numbers and do the research besides the big headlines, yes, troops have been pulled out steadily over the past several years, even from the presidency before this. Now, there are talks and discussions about how Mark Esper was fired, and part of that does include the fact that he did not agree with the president over different aspects of how the military would be used, with some of those major aspects being the uproar that happened across the United States earlier this year, and things that were happening in implementing National Guard and things like that across various states and cities and trying to protect different parts of the country. Now, that was one of the major disputes they had, but that leaves us to question, why is this an issue November of 2020 when that was how many months ago? We will cover the memorandum which Mark Esper left with to provide peace to the service members that he was leading, and he actually says the service members cannot just quit, and he didn't want to quit unless there was a true big reason for it, and that looks like why he stuck around. But here's his letter. It has been an honor and privilege of a lifetime to serve alongside you as the 27th U.S. Secretary of Defense these last 18 months in defense of our great nation and adherence to our sworn oath to the Constitution. Together, we have made solid progress implementing the National Defense Strategy by modernizing the force, improving its readiness, strengthening ties with allies and partners, and reforming the department to make it more efficient. We have also made major strides in taking care of our military personnel, spouses, and their families, and launched important initiatives to improve diversity, inclusion, and equity in the armed services. At the same time, we stood up to the Space Force and Space Command, recapitalized the nuclear triad, expanded the authorities and resources of Cyber Command, and proposed a bold vision of a future Navy. As such, I'm confident the Defense Department's progress on all of these initiatives has improved the security of the United States and advanced our interests abroad. I am particularly proud of these accomplishments in light of the challenges we faced along the way: a global pandemic, confrontations with Iran, its proxies throughout the Middle East, continued deployment of troops into conflict zones, domestic civil unrest, malign behavior globally by Russia and China, and charged political atmosphere here at home. Through thick and thin, however, we have always put people and country first. In my first message to the department in June 2019, I emphasized the great importance I place on a commitment by all, and especially leaders, to those values and behaviors that represent the best of the military profession and mark the character and integrity of the armed forces and the American people respect and admire. I want to thank you all for living up to that standard, for remaining apolitical, and for honoring your oath to the Constitution. While I step aside knowing that there is much more we could accomplish together to advance America's national security, there is much achieved in that time. We had to improve the readiness, capabilities, and professionalism of the joint force, while fundamentally transforming and preparing it for the future. I will always admire and remain forever proud of the great work our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, space professionals, and civilians do each day and every day around the world and here at home to keep America safe. Stay focused on the mission, remain steadfast in your pursuit of excellence, and always do the right thing. Follow these imperatives will ensure you remain the most ready, respected, and capable military force in the world, which is what our nation expects and deserves. Mark Esper. And now you're probably asking, where is the next Secretary of Defense? And the military people are going to say, bring back Mattis. But that's probably never going to happen, and that will never happen again. There's just nothing I could see bringing somebody back in the history of any position, government official-wise, that would come back for another like that. There is a new Secretary of Defense, which is Chris Miller. He has a history of being Special Forces as a Green Beret in the Army in the late 80s and early 90s, even extending towards the beginning of the Afghanistan era where we were doing things over there. And he does have some history as a prior enlisted National Guard guy, which actually did go through ROTC and end up being a officer in the Army. So he does have some true experience for the job. A lot of his resume does include him being part of the counterintelligence and anti-terrorism type fields, so that should give you some idea of what he's been a part of, especially for the era that he was in the military. Currently, there are no changes going on with the Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, as he is currently going through different initiations to understand the launch codes, things like that, to turn over from Mark Esper, and that way he will actually be able to fulfill the role if there is a national emergency. Like I said previously, people are asking, why would you fire Mark Esper only 73 days, I think, is making this video, to do this before the new elect Joe Biden comes in? That's where the speculation's coming from many news sources and people on the internet. Now, one of those being is he wants to make fast, rapid changes before he leaves and possibly do some things against Iran during this time period, but that has not been confirmed by anybody or anything. Also, looking at this, there is a lot of controversy of people saying that this is a huge national security issue, as you are changing presidents while also changing the Secretary of Defense is a drastic change which shouldn't be avoided at all costs at this point because there will be a transition of power. So how would this affect that? That is a great question that we could see in the future. Obviously, I had no idea who Chris Miller was before he took office as the Secretary of Defense, which is why I looked up a little bit about him and just to understand the backstory of who is leading us and who is going to take us through whatever the next challenge we have ahead of us. And we're looking forward to say what is going to be the best for the country and for the military. So I would love to hear what you guys think about this, because obviously I'm in a specific position where I'm not trying to give too much of my opinion here, other than I will say that it does look like we are seeing people that are having experience in this field as far as being a military member, which does show, in my opinion, that people get more respect. Obviously, people that are prior enlisted that go officer, things like that, where he has done this as well, where you can say that he's kind of done his time and will understand even what the lowest ranking E1 will be like, and maybe have more understanding from the top of the chain all the way to the bottom. So I would love to see what that is, and obviously I would love to see him change the pink and greens, because I don't want to see that uniform. I don't like it for the Army. I know he's an Army guy. Maybe he'll want to get rid of it. I don't know. Let me put down in the comments below what you want to see this guy change. Maybe he'll watch the video. I have no idea. Highly doubtful. But other than that, I would love to see what you guys think. And as always, if you guys do have questions about this or anything else, you can always hit me up on Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, or down in the comments below. I love you guys. I'll see you next time.